I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
A series of listening sessions wraps up next week in the city of Superior. The goal is to identify the community's best assets and greatest needs.
Local health organizations have joined together to create Bridging Health North, a data-rich website that can help pinpoint areas of need in our region.
And our Voices of Vietnam series focuses this week on the experiences of a Native American Army veteran.
So stay tuned. Almanac North is next. Hello again and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. And Julie, another round of winter storms in this region over the weekend.
Will it never end? That's all I can say.
Hopefully hang south of us, but we'll see.
Well, I hope that we have a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, I do too.
We do have a lot of good guests.
Yeah, we do. Lots of great topics tonight, so go ahead.
All right, thank you, Denny. What are the City of Superior's greatest strengths and most pressing needs? A series of listening sessions held in the city this spring has been gathering citizen input on a number of topics. 13 of these sessions are being held, with the final one coming up next week. Here to tell us more is Ruth Ludwig, a Superior City Councilor who represents the 7th District. And Kelly LaCore is with UW Superior's Center for Community Engaged Learning, which has been working with the city on the listening sessions. And thanks to both of you for being here. Really appreciate it. Councilor, let's start with you. Maybe you could tell us how this whole idea for the listening sessions came about.
Well, I have to be honest. I wasn't involved in the beginning of it, in the planning of it. So maybe Kelly would be a better person to ask about that.
Sure.
So it's a priority of the University of Wisconsin-Superior to meet regional needs. The mission and vision statements of campus, as well as the strategic plan and goals, have been updated to kind of prioritize and highlight community engagement work, as well as serving the community and meeting regional needs. Mm-hmm. And so our Center for Community Engaged Learning was created kind of in alignment with these updates to these documents and these things. And so now we exist, the Center for Community Engaged Learning, and as we're moving forward, determining next steps, how are we going to serve the needs of the region and meet the needs of the region, we realize we need to know what those needs are. Mm-hmm. And
I was just going to ask, and this is for both of you really, so what are you discovering in these listening sessions? What are the people of Superior telling you?
Well, the first question that we ask them is, what's positive about Superior? What makes our community a great place to live? And one of the biggest draws, of course, is the lake. How many other people in the country really live besides one of the biggest freshwater lakes in the world? And so I think that's if you're raised here and you leave, it's a draw. My husband is from this area, and he said the lake just keeps drawing him back. Mm-hmm. And the smallness of the community, Superior has that small town feel, but yet when you think of the Twin Ports population, we have many big city amenities. So we have, small town feel with big city amenities, and you can drive to work and get there in 5 minutes versus down in the cities, it might be an hour commute. Mm-hmm. Our school our school systems, whether it's our K-12, our universities, WITC, we have a really good educational system, healthcare within the, within the Twin Ports. So there are our outdoor recreation. You can get off of work and 5 minutes later you could be out in our, in our community forest, enjoying the outdoors, or walking along the lake. And so we have just so many wonderful amenities that make Superior just a wonderful community to live in.
And you're also looking at the needs that exist in the community as well. And I understand that these listening sessions are not all broadly made up of community members, but there are really some targeted groups that you're trying to reach. Speak to that and maybe how those needs are similar and how they're different from group to group.
So we're meeting with different groups around the community. So the Chamber of Commerce, the business community, middle schoolers, high schoolers, a lot of youth we've been meeting with, senior citizens, educators. So different groups of people. And the questions are always the same. The process is always the same for each of these sessions. So we're asking 3 main questions, same questions. The groups are just a little bit different. And so we are seeing some major themes emerge. So like Ruth was talking about, a lot of the positives are the same across the board. And we're also hearing a lot of the challenges. Such as lack of mental health services is coming up a lot. Lack of affordable quality housing is coming up a lot. As far as the improvements that people would like to see, we kind of have this gathering place theme. People want more places to meet, safe places to gather and meet outside of homes. So we're meeting with different groups, but the process is the same and the themes have really been the same across the board.
Often when community leaders set out on this kind of a visioning sort of a study, they have a pretty good idea of what they're going to be hearing from area residents. Have there been any surprises that have emerged in any of these groups for either of you that you kind of went, wow, I just never thought that was an issue in our community?
I don't know it. I think, I don't know if we really find it surprising, but it is the similarities, whether it's students or senior citizens. A lot of their wants are the same. A lot of the positive things they find about the community are the same. And so as far as really anything that surprised me, I don't think so.
What kind of a turnout are you getting at these listening sessions? Are quite a few people showing up?
Yeah, we're getting anywhere from 15 to 60 people we had at our at one session. And so we've talked to over 250 people so far with 3 sessions left to go.
What is the number one issue that they would like to see corrected or changed?
Well, I believe that the focus now is on affordable housing. I think the Twin Ports in general has, a shortage of good quality housing, and we hear that theme, it's the same in Superior, is good affordable housing. And so, that's one of the things that we are working on trying to solve.
So what happens with this information? How do you use it going forward?
Well, our plan is to collect the data and help, I guess, in prioritizing the budget number one. Of course, we work on budgeting every year, of course, as every city does. And so I think, using this data to prioritize our budgeting, as well as, building on the economy in our city, to move forward to make Superior just a stronger community to live in.
All right, well, on that positive note we have to end, but thank you for coming in and good luck. I understand there's another session coming up and we have the information about that on the screen. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, a new website unveiled this week could build healthier communities in the region. The Bridging Health North web resource is a group effort of St. Luke's, Essentia Health, St. Louis County, and Generations Healthcare initiatives. It was created through a community health needs assessment that examined health indicators for communities across the region. And so, here to tell us more is Jenny Peterson, Executive Director of Generations Healthcare Initiatives, and Amy Westbrook is the Public Health Division Director for St. Louis County. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for being here tonight. Jenny, how is this information going to be used to help benefit the health of people who live in this region?
Well, this database is really a wealth of information. I mean, we still are finding more and more things that it can tell us. But the major thing it can do is give us a snapshot of our community's health at any one time. And whether you're looking at things like cancer rates or looking at housing or looking at the infant mortality, if you're looking at obesity rates, you're going to, by a quick click of a button, you're going to be able to tell that for a number of geographic areas in our region. And so we can get it for Duluth, Itasca County, Pine County, Douglas County, and St. Louis County, all right there. And it's also the city of Duluth.
Amy, where was all of this information stored before this site was created, and how much of a challenge was it to pull it all together and put it in one place?
Well, it is a lot of information pulled from different sources. Some are nationally collected, some are estimates, some are local data. And it hasn't been in the same place before. So this is kind of the first of its kind for us in the northeast Minnesota, and then Minnesota too. So we contracted with Conduit, a Healthy Communities Institute, to put this platform together for us. It's called Bridging Health North.
Jenny, who would use all of this information? The medical community, citizens of the region, a combination of? Who would use it?
It's really meant for a broad swath of our community. The health systems need to do a community health needs assessment. Public health does a community health needs assessment. Government organizations, our comprehensive planning folks, our city planners, our regional planners can use it. Nonprofits can use it. An organization like ours can use it to look at our programs and are we able to move the needle on things that we're working on. For example, we work a lot with healthcare access access. And so basically we can find out, as our programs making a difference? Are we able to show that? And again, by looking at this website, we've got access to a number of indicators that can tell us if we're moving the needle on any of these programs.
And it's updated as data are available and new, so it allows us to have an ongoing assessment of community needs rather than every time that we're required to do one by the Minnesota Department of Health or for the hospital's IRS. So we can look at and monitor trends of health in our communities.
So having all of this information in one spot, I'm sure that you've been through the site and navigated it and taken a look. What picture is emerging as far as the health and access to health services in our region from what you see on the site?
Well, I just to back up one point, Julie, in our community health needs assessment, we really have 4 priority areas, and so we're able to really bring those forward. There is so much data in this, and so I think when you're looking at it, it's good to think, what am I looking at? And so when we look at things like mental health, which comes out as a strong need, when we're looking at obesity or alcohol and substance abuse, there is a point on the database where you can look at what are our priorities and what are those indicators. So we're able to really hone in on a number of things that can really tell us if we're making a difference.
Amy, tell us a little bit more about the promising practices portion of the website. What's that all about?
Yeah, that's a site or part of the site that has evidence-based programs or promising practice programs that have sort of been validated through research and science that can be applied to any program or community or subpopulation, for example, that you can implement, and you're going to know that you can see results. So it's evidence-based practices or promising practices that are on there, and so you know what good practices are out there for any given population.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like just a huge amount of information to manage, and Amy mentioned that it was going to be updated regularly. Who does that inputting of all of this new information continually, or is it done on an annual basis? Is it populated automatically? How do you stay on top of it so that it's always current?
All the nationally collected data is automatically updated through the platform, and then we as organizations update the local data as it becomes available. We have the Bridge to Health survey, which is a health status survey administered every 5 years. That is updated. We have the most current, which is 2015, and then as we move forward with our next survey, we'll update those. And then the Bridge to Health, or the Minnesota Student Survey, which is a student health survey, administered every 3 years. We have those local data available.
Could information found on the website help improve the health of residents who use this?
Oh, definitely, because right now, when you're planning a program, if you don't have good information and good data, how do you know if you're going to really be making a difference? And are you really looking at some of the most pressing needs in our community? And this data can really help us score what seems to be coming up most often. And as Amy was saying, what's the beauty of this is it's all done automatically by a company that we've contracted with to do this. So before, when we would have to go to the health department and we'd have to go to the census and we'd have to go to all these different sources, right now the company that we're contracting with puts it all in one place. And I should say too that this is really good for consumers too. If you have an interest in a health area, certainly go on the website, because this can really maybe help you understand our health of our community.
Yeah, and it is reliable, it's accurate, it's up to date, and it's science-based data, so it's not just from any sort of information system out there. It's reliable data.
It's not fake news.
So could this help bring some additional resources to our area, for instance, because organizations are able to compile the data to get grants and
exactly,
to
Julie.
go to the legislatures?
I think that's probably the best thing. I mean, when we're all looking for funding for our programs, and this really helps us take the amount of time it needs us to do the research, we can have that information right away. And actually, what you also said about advocacy, this helps us get the data that we can talk to our legislators about and say, gee, this is really a need in our community and we need to address it.
And is it pretty easy to navigate?
Yeah, you can portray data as maps, you can portray data as trends, or to measure against Healthy People 2020 or the state or the nation. And so you can get a really good, you can look at it from a lot of different angles, and you can see it from a lot of different ways to understand data, mapping, trending, graphs.
And with that, we have to call it quits. Both of you, thank you, Jenny, Amy, appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
This week, our series of Vietnam veterans profiles continues. Tonight, we talk with a Native American man who joined the Army after high school and served in the 173rd Airborne Division. WDSE's Native Report producer Mike Lagarde has his story.
First time I ever heard of Vietnam was in grade school, and figured it'll end by then. Next thing I know, there it is. But before that, it was kind of nice, because we were just coming of age, it seemed like, and your life was just starting. And next thing you know, I was joining the service and ended up going into the Army. And the only difference is I didn't tell anybody. My mom, friends. 3 months after I had left, they take your picture of basic or whatever in your first uniform, and they sent it to her. And that's how she knew then that I was in the service. And I still didn't come home, even after my initial basic and AIT and all this. I felt I didn't want to come home, because then we drew orders for Vietnam. And I felt like if they gave you that 30 days leave, it was more like I'm coming home to say goodbye to everybody. Yeah, and I just didn't feel comfortable, so I just said, send me now, because if I go home, I may not come back.
It was in 1971 when Daniel enlisted in the Army. His experiences in boot camp made him wonder what he had gotten himself into.
It was scary, because you're not prepared for it. And when you got people screaming at you in the face, you start wondering, what am I doing? What did I do? Why are you screaming at me? You're just not used to it. They're barking orders at you. They got control of your life. They're telling you when you can go to the bathroom, when to eat. Their job is to break you. Physically, they'll get you in shape. They get anybody in shape. Mentally, they want to see how much you can take. They want to see how you guys function as a team. Who helps who? Whose mind is in the right place, I guess, to survive if you go to combat. Part of it, I feel, is like if you're captured too. How much can you take being a prisoner of war? Because even then basic, they just threw a little bit at you. And it's like, I don't want to be captured. So as we advanced in our training, it became more intense.
Daniel said that even though boot camp was tough, it really did not prepare him for Vietnam. He literally hit the ground running.
I remember coming into Phuket, which is the biggest city in the area we were in. We could hear something hit the plane. And we were in what do you call, like a AC-130 plane, cargo, not a cargo, but transport, Army transport. And you could hear them things hitting, and we're looking like, damn, was the plane falling apart? We started laughing. And the sergeant said, no, those are bullets hitting the side of the plane. And we're like, what? Well, they were under fire. And finally, they made the decision. They said, when we're landing, they're shutting the engines and they're going to do a roll. And when that back door opens, you jump and you get your head together, you look for the hut that had the big cross on it, and you run for that. We're like, why? Because the air base is under attack. It's hot. The door opened, it felt like an oven, and then yet you got to jump and run. It's like, wow, what's going on?
He was then told to report to the 173rd Airborne. As soon as he reached his brigade, he was given a weapon and was on patrol that evening.
Looking back, first person I took, and I felt, wow, I saved us. And checking his body like we're supposed to, finding a book, opening it, or taking it out. And I should have took it to our sergeant. Instead, I opened it, and there's a picture of his wife and 2 kids. What did I do? Why did I do that? He's got 2 kids. I don't know. He didn't do nothing. And I killed him. And I can tell you, his daughter's probably 47 years old, and his son's probably around 45, 44 years old today. And that sticks with you that long.
After his tour ended, he made his way back home, but he was a changed man. He suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. He started writing about his experiences, which proved to be therapeutic.
That was my own way of healing what I thought, what my opinion was. That was important. And I think I ended up with like 15 notepads of writings both sides. I had to forgive myself, and that started my healing. I feel like maybe that's what I'm supposed to do, is write these and share those stories. So if I help one person, that's good. makes me feel good, but it helps me survive too.
Let's turn now to the business news from the editors at Business North. International shipping resumed Thursday in the Twin Ports when the Federal Vesa passed under the aerial lift bridge at 9:46 p.m. The 656-foot bulk carrier will load wheat Monday morning at the CHS terminal in Superior and depart with wheat bound for Algeria. A half dozen salties are expected to pass through the port in the next few months.
Contractors and construction workers in northern Minnesota received good news Tuesday. School District 318 residents approved a nearly $69 million referendum to construct 2 new elementary buildings and renovate another. Design work on the 2 Grand Rapids schools and renovation of Cohasset Elementary will begin shortly. Construction will begin next year and could potentially create as many as 600 jobs. The district's current elementary buildings are at capacity, with students overflowing into portable classrooms.
One of Duluth's largest employers has expressed strong opposition to the proposed earned sick and safe time ordinance. St. Luke's, which has more than 2,800 employees, could face more than $600,000 each year in added costs. In a letter to city councilors, the nonprofit went beyond the cost arguments. In one part of its 5-page letter, the company questioned how much of the paid time off would be legitimate, saying national surveys have found sick time is widely abused. The healthcare firm also argued that some terms in the proposal are too broad, while it also lacks important provisions to protect employers. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
So call now if you have something to say about our show. You can dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to Almanac North at WDSE.org. And the WDSE website is a great resource if you're looking for our program schedule, updates on your favorite PBS shows, and coming events right here at the station. And Julia, lakeshore flood warning has been issued due to high winds expected this weekend, whipping up a lot of big waves.
Similar to what happened last October, I understand.
20-footers.
Yeah, and hopefully everybody will stay safe. The lake levels have come down a little bit.
Exactly. All right, for Julie and the crew at WDSE, I'm Dennis Anderson. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody, and be kind.